10 lessons on turning challenges into opportunities for growth. The first lesson on the path to self-mastery and true freedom. The first step on the journey to mastering yourself and gaining true freedom is learning to master your mind. Picture this. You're walking down a crowded street when someone accidentally bumps into you. Instantly, you feel a surge of anger. You turn around and eyes sharp, ready to react. But then the person smiles and says, "Sorry," before walking away. That brief moment perfectly captures the kind of inner battles we all face. In your mind, questions begin to swirl. Did they do that on purpose? Should I say something? But here's the truth, those emotions didn't come from the other person's actions. They came from you. You're the one who let those feelings into your mind. Stoic philosophy, an ancient school of thought, teaches us that anyone who angers you is your master. That might sound extreme, but when you really think about it, it makes perfect sense. Every time you get angry or react negatively to something, you're giving someone else power over your emotions. And the key is you don't have to. Emotions like anger, irritation, or hurt are often automatic responses, habits we've built over time. But the beautiful thing is, you have the power to choose a different reaction. Stoicism isn't about becoming an emotionless robot. It's about learning to respond rather than just react. It's about choosing how you want to show up in the face of life's challenges. One of Stoicism's core teachings is to maintain a calm and peaceful mind. There's a famous saying from the philosophy, the first rule is to keep an untroubled mind. That's something you can always control. Money, fame, or other people's opinions, those are outside your control. But your own thoughts, that's your territory. Having a peaceful mind doesn't mean being indifferent or numb. It means staying grounded and rational, even when things get tough. When someone hurts you, instead of reacting right away, you pause and ask yourself, is this really a big deal? Where is this emotion coming from? Can I look at this situation differently? That moment of reflection can keep you from spiraling into regret or unnecessary pain. Seeing things as they really are is another powerful lesson from Stoic philosophy. Most of the time, we don't react to what actually happened. We react to the story we tell ourselves about it. Let's say someone walks past you and doesn't say hi. You might think they're ignoring you or being rude, but in reality, they might just be lost in thought or having a rough day. Stoicism encourages us to strip away assumptions and see things for what they are. Doing this can save us a lot of unnecessary emotional drama caused by overthinking or unrealistic expectations. Another Stoic practice is to wake up each morning with a sense of gratitude. Instead of jumping straight into stress, to-do lists, or hitting snooze, Stoics remind us to begin the day with presence and appreciation. As the philosophy puts it, when you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. That's not just feel-good fluff. It's a spiritual practice that grounds you in the present. We often live as if life is endless, like we'll always have tomorrow to change, to love, to start over. But the truth is, tomorrow isn't promised. If you can take even one moment each morning to recognize how lucky you are to be alive, to have another shot at living better, you're already living differently. This kind of mindfulness isn't about chasing huge success. It's about truly being here for your life. Another major Stoic principle is recognizing that while you can't control the world around you, you can always control yourself. You can't make someone love you. You can't stop people from gossiping about you. You can't control the weather or fate, but you can control your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Once you embrace that truth, life starts to feel a little lighter. The pressure to fix everything or win every battle disappears. You realize that mastering yourself is more than enough. And finally, Stoicism warns us about a dangerous habit many of us fall into: suffering before anything has even happened. He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary. We worry about things that haven't happened yet. A boss who might yell at us, a partner who might leave, a project that might fail. But all that worry just creates pain in advance, even when reality hasn't caught up. Stoicism doesn't tell you to be blindly optimistic. It tells you to stay present. Don't let your imagination rob you of the peace you could be feeling right now. Face challenges when they come, not before. In the end, freedom doesn't come from your circumstances. It comes from your mind. Mastering your emotions, keeping a calm mindset, and seeing the world as it truly is, these are the keys to a strong and free life. No one else can give you that power. You've had it all along if you're willing to practice. Lesson 2. Be the rock. The second core lesson of Stoic philosophy invites us to be the rock, to stand firm and unshaken in the face of life's challenges, just like a boulder holding its ground against the crashing waves of the ocean. Life rarely unfolds the way we want it to. Storms will come, sudden, intense, and often without warning. It might be a painful breakup, an unexpected loss, or a tough situation you never saw coming. When that happens, you have two choices. You can collapse under the weight of it all, complain, and ask, "Why me?" Or you can choose to stand tall like the rock, steady, unshaken, and wait for the waves to pass. The rock doesn't have any special powers. It can't stop the waves. But it chooses to remain grounded, refusing to be swept away. In the same way, we can't control everything in life: betrayals, sudden changes, or challenges that blindside us. But we can control how we respond. When someone criticizes you, you can snap back, or you can choose to pause, listen, and take only what's useful. When you suffer a loss, you can sink into despair, or you can grieve, release, and keep moving forward. When you fail, you can beat yourself up, or you can learn from it and try again. This power of choice is what makes you the rock, unshaken, not because you're immune to hardship, but because you don't let it break you. Stoic resilience doesn't mean becoming cold or emotionally numb. Some people misunderstand the idea of being a rock, thinking it means shutting off all feelings or becoming indifferent. But that's not the point. You can still feel sadness, anger, or pain, but the key is don't let those emotions run your life. A rock feels the force of the waves, but it doesn't get swept away. You too can feel pain without becoming pain. You can feel anger without lashing out. You can feel hurt and still choose compassion and calm. That's real strength, not the absence of emotion, but the ability to act with wisdom in spite of emotion. True strength isn't about never facing hardship. It's about staying true to your values when hardship hits. A kind person when life is easy isn't necessarily kind at heart. A calm person when all is well isn't necessarily strong. It's the storms of life that reveal who we really are. When the wave hits, can you still be kind to others, even when they treat you unfairly? Can you stay grateful even after losing something precious? Can you hold on to your dignity even when those around you lose theirs? If you can do that, you're living as the rock in a stormy world. One of the rock's most powerful traits is acceptance. It doesn't try to change the ocean, it simply adapts to it. In life, every challenge is not your enemy, but a chance to grow. Every difficulty is a lesson in disguise, shaping your resilience and inner strength. Without adversity, there's no growth. Without pain, there's no real toughness of spirit. But no one is born a rock. Steadiness is something you build with time and practice. Just like rocks are formed over millions of years through pressure and change, you too can become unshakable through daily effort. Start small. When someone insults you, practice not reacting right away. When stress hits, try taking a deep breath before responding. Learn to observe your emotions instead of letting them drive you. And each time you make it through a challenge, take a moment to acknowledge it. I stood my ground. That simple recognition builds your confidence. Those small wins, repeated over time, will shape you into the rock that Stoicism speaks of. The beauty of becoming a rock is that your calm doesn't just serve you, it brings peace to others. When you live with steadiness and quiet strength, people feel safer around you. You become an anchor, a place of grounding for those who are struggling. In a world full of chaos, perfection isn't what people need. Steadiness is. And the best part? You can start right now with one simple decision: be the rock. Ciao. Lesson 3. True wealth comes from within. The third lesson in Stoic philosophy, taught by Seneca, offers a profound perspective on wealth and poverty. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little who is poor, but the one who constantly craves more." This quote challenges us to rethink our entire understanding of what it means to be rich. In modern society, we often measure wealth by material standards: houses, cars, bank accounts. But true poverty doesn't always come from lacking physical possessions. It often comes from a restless mind that never feels satisfied, always wanting more, never feeling enough. Seneca, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, lived a life of luxury in Roman palaces. He had access to everything most people could only dream of. Yet in the end, he chose to give it all up. Why? Because he realized that real poverty is not about what's in your wallet, it's about what's in your mind. You can have billions and still feel poor if your desires are endless. If you have 10 million but crave 100 million, you're still trapped in the mindset of lack. On the other hand, someone who lives simply with enough food, enough love, and enough peace may be considered truly rich. Desire can quietly become our master. Imagine you're holding the cup, and every time you want something new, the cup fills a little more. You want the latest iPhone, more in the cup. You want more likes on social media, more in the cup. You want to be admired by others, more in the cup. Eventually, if your desires aren't kept in check, the cup overflows. You become overwhelmed, enslaved by things outside of yourself, and unable to find real peace. That's why true wealth doesn't come from acquiring more. It comes from needing less. One of the most dangerous lies we tell ourselves is, "I'll be happy when." It sounds reasonable, but it's a trap. Because every time you get to your goal, a new one pops up. You earn your first big paycheck. Now you want double. You marry the one you love. Now you want them to change. You travel to an amazing place. Now you want to go somewhere even better. And on it goes. You end up chasing happiness like a mirage, never quite reaching it. The Stoics didn't teach us to reject joy, they taught us to live more wisely. One of Seneca's best-known teachings was, if you want to be rich, learn to want less. It might sound backwards, but it's surprisingly effective. The less you need to feel full, the more often you'll feel full. When you're grateful for what you already have, you start to feel abundant. And the less you depend on things outside yourself, the more free you become. Free from the chains of status, possessions, and constant comparison. Learning to live simply is one of the most powerful ways to grow stronger. Not because you have less, but because you learn to thrive with what you have. Seneca had a strange habit. Once a month, he would live like he was poor, eating very little, wearing rough clothes, sleeping on the floor. Not to punish himself, but to train his mind. That way, if he ever lost everything, he knew he'd still be okay. You don't have to go that far, but you can start practicing small exercises in simplicity. Try giving up something you don't really need. Eat a plain meal instead of something fancy. Step away from your usual comforts now and then. Spend more time with books, nature, and loved ones, instead of constantly chasing after things that don't really matter. When you need less, the world has less power over you. If you fear losing your job, or fear being criticized or rejected, it's often because you've placed too much of your self-worth in the hands of others. If you don't need material things to prove your worth, you won't fear being called poor. If you don't need everyone to like you, you won't fear being disliked. If you already feel enough, you'll stop fearing the loss of things that were never essential. Real freedom begins when you have very little you're afraid to lose. When you're no longer attached to everything outside of you, a deep sense of peace emerges. Wealth is not having everything. It's not needing everything. If your hand is clenched into a tight fist, you can't receive anything new. But if you open your hand, if you let go, there's space for something truly valuable. Stop and reflect on the things you think you want in life. Many of them aren't worth trading your peace for. Real wealth is feeling complete with what you already have. It's not about owning the world. It's about not needing to. And you can start living that way today simply by asking yourself, do I really need this? Or am I just used to wanting too much? Lesson 4, the power of our response. The fourth lesson from Epictetus' Stoic philosophy teaches us a profound truth about how we face life. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who was once a slave, said something simple yet incredibly powerful. It's not the things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. This statement is not only a philosophical lesson, but a key that can help free us from sorrow and suffering. Happiness and peace aren't found in the things life gives us. They're found in how we respond to them. Once you understand this, you'll realize that you can truly take control of your life by how you respond to the events around you. Life is like a long road, full of challenges and surprises. You can't control everything. You can't control how others treat you. You can't stop failure, loss, or illness. And you can't guarantee that everything will always go according to plan. However, you always have the power to choose how you respond to those events. You can't stop the rain, but you can choose to carry an umbrella to protect yourself. Sometimes these small shifts in perspective are what allow us to find peace in the midst of the greatest challenges. The same event can evoke very different responses from different people. For example, if you lose your job, one person may fall into despair and bitterness, while another might see it as an opportunity to learn, grow, and explore new paths. It's not the event that defines you, it's how you perceive and react to it. You may not be able to choose the cards life deals you, but you can absolutely choose how to play them. The greatest difference between those who succeed and those who fail is how they perceive and respond to challenges. When life is smooth, everyone can seem strong and confident. But it's during tough times, when storms hit, that our true character is revealed. When love fades, work fails, money runs out, or friends betray us, that's when who you truly are shines through. Epictetus once said, "Difficulties don't make the man, they reveal him." Life's challenges don't change who you are, but they show you just how strong you are when you face them. That's why challenges are opportunities to affirm and develop your true self. A common question is, "But I can't control my emotions." However, this isn't entirely true. Emotions are a natural part of being human, but how you respond to them is a choice. Imagine you're angry in an argument, but then you immediately receive an important call from your boss. You instantly shift your tone from angry to calm and professional. In that moment, you've controlled your emotions. Emotions come and go, but your response to them is something you have full control over. Recognizing this gives you greater stability in life. Life is, in essence, a simple equation. Events plus your response to them equals the result of your life. You can't control the external events, but you can absolutely control how you respond to them. When someone insults you, you can choose to ignore it or retaliate. When failure comes, you can choose to be sad or to learn and rise again. When loss happens, you can either resent it or find the lesson in it. The same event can result in different outcomes depending on how you choose to respond. How you perceive and handle the events in your life will ultimately shape who you become and where you go. However, it's not always easy to master our responses. That's why Stoicism isn't just a theory to be read through. It's a practice to be worked on every day. Epictetus once said, "You want to be strong in the storm, then practice in the calm." The best way to prepare for life's challenges is to train yourself to respond calmly, starting with small situations. For example, when someone cuts in line, instead of getting angry, smile and think, "They're in a rush. It's not worth losing my peace." When you face failure, instead of blaming yourself, ask, "What's the lesson here?" When you worry about the future, remind yourself, "The present moment is the only thing I can control." Every time you choose to respond calmly, you strengthen your mental resilience and create positive change in your life. Finally, true freedom isn't found in controlling the world around you, but in how you respond to it. Life won't always go your way, but you have the power to choose how you react to it. When you master your responses, you become invincible. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Nothing can harm you unless you allow it." Live like a lighthouse, unable to control the storms, but always shining bright and standing firm, no matter how fierce the winds blow. Lesson 5. The value of time. The fifth lesson, shared by Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, is a reminder about the value of time. He said, "We do not have a short time to live, but we waste a lot of it." This is a profound reflection on life that not everyone realizes. Each day that passes is one less day in your life, and no one knows how much time they truly have left. You may think you have years or even a lifetime ahead, but the truth is, all you really have is today. Tomorrow is not promised to anyone, so wasting time is a mistake many people make without even realizing it. We often think that time is infinite, but in reality, it's the one resource we can never get back. Money lost can be earned again, love lost can be found again, and a broken reputation can be rebuilt, but lost time will never come back. When we view life this way, we realize that nothing is more valuable than time. Every passing moment is a treasure that can never be retrieved, and if we don't appreciate it, we risk losing much without even knowing it. So are we truly living, or are we merely existing? Today, many people spend entire days mindlessly scrolling through their phones, watching meaningless videos, procrastinating on their dreams, and doing work they don't love just to wait for the weekend. One day when they look back, they'll realize they've missed out on so many precious moments of life. Seneca once said, "You do not live too short a time, you just forget to live." And it's this forgetfulness that causes us to overlook opportunities to live fully. The feeling of being busy is another reason many people miss out on real life. In today's society, we're constantly racing against deadlines, glued to emails, calls, and messages. But if you ask, "What are you living for?" not everyone will have an answer. Thoreau once said, "Don't just live busy, so busy that you forget what you're living for." This makes us ask ourselves, are we doing things that truly matter? Or are we just chasing after things that society imposes upon us? To live a meaningful life, Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, taught that look at each day as a whole life. Every time you wake up, you're born again. And when you go to sleep, you're finishing a life. So in the time between those 2 points, what have you done? Have you lived with kindness? Have you learned something new? Have you loved enough? If today were all you had, would you live differently? If you realize that each day is a separate life of its own, you'll learn to cherish every moment, live meaningfully, and never let time pass without purpose. However, to truly live fully, you need to identify what's stealing your time. Social media, meaningless conversations, and procrastination are all thieves of your time that you may not even notice. If you don't master your time, others will control you. So take a good look at what in your life is causing you to waste time. Instead of immersing yourself in the trivial, focus on things that bring real value to your life. The important thing is to act now. If not, you may never act at all. Stoics don't encourage panic over time, but rather gratitude and appreciation for the time we have. Seneca wrote, "Act as if you are living your last day, because one day you will be right." You don't need to make drastic changes all at once, but start with small actions. Write in a journal, spend time with loved ones. Turn off your phone for 30 minutes to sit quietly with yourself, or spend 10 minutes learning something new. These small changes will help you live more fully every day. Finally, to live fully, you must reconcile with time and treat each day as a gift. Time is the one thing that, the more wisely you use it, the more you gain. Don't blame your circumstances or the right moment, because the only moment you truly have is right now. Life isn't short. It's only short for those who don't live it fully. Be grateful for the moments you have and live each day as though it's your last chance to build a meaningful life. Lesson 6. Wisdom is not achieved by chance. The 6th lesson from Stoic philosophy that Seneca conveys to us is a powerful reminder that no one becomes wise by accident. In modern society, where everything happens quickly and conveniently, we tend to want instant results. Success can be achieved with just a few clicks. Happiness can be gained through a short trip, and wisdom can be found in a quote on social media. However, true values in life, such as inner peace, deep understanding, and resilience in adversity, never come by chance. They are the results of intentional training, the continuous effort over time, through mistakes and through life itself. According to Stoic philosophy, wisdom is not about knowing a lot, but about living rightly. Wisdom is not measured by the number of books you read or the degrees you have, but by how you react in difficult situations. Can you remain calm when insulted? Do you hold fast to your values during a crisis? Can you do what's right even when no one is watching? It's these questions that help you realize that true wisdom comes from how you live, from the small actions you take every day. Marcus Aurelius taught, "Don't explain your philosophy, live it." This emphasizes that rather than just talking about philosophy or theory, you need to live according to what you've learned to become wise. Wisdom is also the result of mental discipline. Seneca didn't believe in luck when it came to becoming wise. He believed in intentional practice. The mind, like the body, needs to be trained daily to become strong and resilient. To develop intelligence and wisdom, you need to practice through small actions, such as observing your emotions before reacting, choosing what's right instead of what's easy, listening to others instead of always talking, and knowing when to remain silent and when to speak up. These are the habits that will help you improve yourself daily and gradually move towards wisdom. Another key factor in the journey to becoming wise is the realization that difficult times are the gym for wisdom. No one can train their mind when life is easy. Failures, wounds, and losses are the challenges that help you grow and develop. In these difficult moments, you can learn profound lessons about yourself and the world around you. Each time you overcome fear, control your anger, or remain calm in a storm, you are taking another step in the journey toward wisdom. Wisdom is not just knowing theory, it's the ability to apply what you've learned to life, especially in difficult situations. Epictetus once said, "Learn to be indifferent to what doesn't matter." A wise person does not waste energy on things outside their control, such as meaningless criticism, bad weather, or the bad attitude of others. Instead, they focus on what they can change: their own character, kindness in action, and clear, objective thinking. This is one of the important aspects that help you become wise, because when you can discern what is worth your attention and what isn't, you will not let external factors control your life. Stoic philosophy teaches that anyone can become wise, but no one is exempt from the practice. There is no shortcut, no overnight results. Wisdom comes from choosing to live more deeply each day, from adjusting yourself daily to become a better person. Epictetus once said, "Progress is not achieved by luck or chance, but by working on yourself every day." This process is not always easy, but if you persevere and make an effort every day, wisdom will gradually come. To measure your wisdom, ask yourself every day, what did I learn about myself today? Did I stand firm in any challenges? Did I adjust a bad habit? And did he do the right thing even though no one knew? If the answer is yes, even to just one small thing, you are on the path to becoming wise. This is not luck, but the result of the choices and efforts you make every day. Finally, wisdom is not a destination, but a journey. You cannot wake up one day and become wise, nor can you just read a quote and suddenly live well. However, if you persist in living with yourself, observing, adjusting, and learning each day, wisdom will gradually crystallize in the way you present yourself to the world. No one becomes wise by accident, but anyone can choose that path, starting today. Lesson 7, the power of the mind. The seventh lesson from Stoicism that we learn is a profound reminder of the power of the mind. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This quote by Marcus Aurelius points out that no matter how difficult, unjust, or unpredictable life may be, we can always control how we respond to any situation. This not only gives us mental strength, but also helps us live a life of peace and freedom. While external life can be chaotic and challenging, the mind within us can be a place of calm. Stoic philosophy teaches that the outside world cannot hurt you if your inner world is steadfast. Imagine a strong cliff standing against the fierce ocean waves. Even though the waves crash against it, the cliff remains unmoved. Likewise, you can maintain your inner peace even when surrounded by turmoil, criticism, and pressure. This is the true power that Stoicism teaches you, the ability to remain at peace even as everything around you changes. One of the key elements of Stoicism is the ability to choose your response rather than react instinctively. We often react automatically when faced with triggering events, such as being insulted, experiencing loss, or feeling unrecognized. These reactions are not always the wisest choices. Stoics practice every day to create a gap between an event and their response. During this time, they can choose to restrain their anger, choose understanding over judgment, and accept the situation rather than complain. This helps them maintain calmness and act consciously. Epictetus, a famous Stoic philosopher, once said, "Some things are up to us, some things are not." This reminds us that not everything in life is within our control. We cannot change the weather, the outcome of an interview, or the thoughts of others. But we can always control more important things: our thoughts, our reactions, and how we live each day. Once we realize this, we no longer have to worry about things we cannot change. Instead, we will focus on controlling what we can, ourselves. During times of stress, Marcus Aurelius also advises us, there is no place more peaceful and secure than within your own soul. When life becomes noisy and chaotic, the mind is the only place where we can find tranquility. Like a calm house in the middle of a storm, the mind is a sanctuary no one can take away. It is where we can retreat, regain our awareness and control, so we are not swept away by negative emotions or external events. A common mistake when approaching Stoic philosophy is to misunderstand it as encouraging indifference to emotions. In fact, Stoicism doesn't require you to avoid emotions, but rather the ability to fully feel emotions such as sadness, anger, or hurt without letting these emotions dictate your actions. A Stoic is like a sailor in a great storm. Though they cannot avoid the waves, they know how to keep the wheel steady to steer the ship in the right direction. This requires self-control and inner discipline, not letting emotions dominate behavior, but instead consciously choosing actions. True strength is not the ability to overpower others, but the ability to remain steady when everything around you is falling apart. As Marcus Aurelius said, real strength is not overcoming others, but staying steadfast when everything around you is falling apart. Life may be full of challenges, failures, and losses, but when you master your mind, you will not be defeated by these difficulties. You will be able to maintain inner peace and remain consistent in difficult situations. When you master your mind, nothing can defeat you. You cannot change everything that happens in your life, but you can change how you perceive, think, and live. This not only brings freedom, but also real mental strength. When you realize that you can control your mind, you are no longer a victim of your circumstances, but the master of your own life. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. When you realize this power, you will feel strength from within, freedom, and peace. Lesson 8, the power of your response. The 8th lesson in Stoic philosophy is an important reminder about how we respond to events in life. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Life will never be perfect or easy. You will face uncontrollable situations like accidents, betrayal, or failure despite your best efforts. However, the key point lies in how you respond when faced with these difficulties. You can choose to complain, blame fate, or you can learn from the experience, accept it, and move forward with resilience. The big difference between a person who lives like a victim and one who lives like a silent warrior is in how they choose to respond. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we do not suffer because of the events that happen, but because of how we evaluate them. Events in life are just events. They have no fixed meaning until we assign value to them. For example, losing a job might be seen as a disaster, but it could also be an opportunity to start a new chapter in life. Being rejected can bring a sense of shame, but it might also be a stepping stone to personal growth. Negative emotions do not come from the event itself, but from the story we tell ourselves about it. Facing adversity is not just about enduring, but a lesson to practice calmness, increase endurance, and build a steady character. Each challenge is an opportunity to grow. A Stoic never shies away from difficulties. They understand that within every event, there is a lesson to learn, a skill to refine, and a part of themselves to explore. The key is to shift from automatic reactions to conscious reflection. We often react emotionally and instinctively in stressful situations. However, Stoics practice creating a gap between the stimulus and their response. They pause, take a deep breath, and ask themselves, is this really important? Is it within my control? What is the response that aligns with my values? These questions help them move from automatic reactions to conscious choices. This not only helps them remain calm, but also allows them to act rationally rather than letting emotions take control. Staying calm in chaos is not a sign of weakness, but of inner strength. Maintaining composure in stressful situations, when everyone around you loses control, is a difficult skill, but it's a testament to deep self-discipline. A Stoic knows that true strength is not the ability to defeat others, but the ability to remain steady when everything around you falls apart. When others panic, you choose rational action. When others criticize, you remain silent and reflect. This is the way of someone who lives by reason, not by emotion. One of the key elements of Stoic philosophy is recognizing that bad things do not define you, but how you handle them shapes who you are. Everyone will experience failure, pain, and loss, but not everyone knows how to rise, how to forgive, and how to continue living with kindness. To bear this worthily is good fortune, said Marcus Aurelius. The tragedy is not that you are hurt, but that those hurts make you bitter and devoid of compassion. Finally, the story you tell yourself will shape your life. You can tell yourself that you are a victim of fate, always unlucky and helpless before your circumstances. Or you can tell yourself that you are someone who has learned valuable lessons from challenges and grown from them. The story you tell yourself will define your attitude, actions, and future. You are not a victim of life, but the writer of your own script in response to it. Life will always present challenges, but how you choose to respond to those challenges will determine who you become. In conclusion, the lesson from Stoic philosophy is, you have the power to choose how to react in every situation. No one and no circumstance can force you to react negatively. You can choose silence over anger, understanding over judgment, empathy over retaliation, and growth over surrender. That is real strength. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Live like a Stoic, resilient, mindful, and always choosing to respond with reason. Lesson 9, turning obstacles into opportunities. The 9th lesson in Stoic philosophy teaches us a different perspective on the challenges of life. Rather than seeing obstacles as insurmountable barriers, Stoic philosophy encourages us to transform them into opportunities for growth. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." According to this philosophy, difficulties and challenges are not the end, but opportunities to refine ourselves, improve our skills, and grow stronger. When we face failure, instead of feeling helpless, we can view it as an opportunity to learn and do better. When confronted with criticism rather than defending ourselves, we can see it as a chance to change our behavior and improve. Our natural reaction when encountering difficulty is to avoid it. However, Stoics do not shy away. They accept that challenges are an unavoidable part of life. They understand that every challenge brings with it a valuable lesson, and they are always ready to embrace it as an opportunity for growth. Instead of complaining, they seek the value in the hardships life presents. Marcus Aurelius' famous quote, "What stands in the way becomes the way," is not just advice for facing difficulties, but an invitation to seek opportunities in every challenge. A failure can teach you perseverance and problem-solving skills. A broken relationship can help you communicate and understand others better. Pain can teach you resilience and how to find hope in life. Every obstacle contains a gift, a lesson that will help you become stronger. An important principle in Stoic philosophy is not to see barriers, but to see opportunities for action. Life will always challenge us, but that does not mean we must succumb. When faced with obstacles, rather than retreating, the Stoic chooses to act. Barriers are not something to stop us. They are the motivation to move forward. They focus on action, seek solutions instead of assigning blame, and always move forward. By overcoming challenges, they not only become stronger, but also get closer to becoming the best version of themselves. It is this action that affirms their strength and their ability to overcome any challenge. Acceptance of change is another essential lesson in Stoic philosophy. Everything will change, and we cannot control everything. What we can control is how we respond to that change. Instead of resisting, we can accept that change is inevitable and find ways to harmonize with it. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Nothing endures but change." This emphasizes that we cannot escape change, but we can learn how to adapt and face it with calmness and wisdom. One of the most prominent traits of successful people is the ability to confront and overcome challenges. Stoics are not only those who endure challenges, but they are those who overcome them and grow stronger in the process. Marcus Aurelius said, "Difficulty shows what men are." When difficulty arises, that is when your inner strength is revealed. The Stoic understands that when you overcome a challenge, you not only prove your inner strength, but also move forward, no matter how difficult the path may be. Successful people are those who know how to see opportunities in every challenge and never give up in the face of adversity. In conclusion, the key lesson from Stoic philosophy is to transform obstacles into pathways for growth. Every challenge in life is not a barrier, but an opportunity for you to develop and mature. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Always view each challenge as a valuable lesson, and from that you will become stronger, more resilient, and more mature. Do not let obstacles stop you. Let them lead the way, guiding you towards success and personal growth. Lesson 10. True happiness comes from contentment, not possessions. The 10th lesson in Stoic philosophy focuses on the idea that true happiness does not come from owning many possessions, but from the ability to be content with what we have. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." In modern society, we are often caught in the race to accumulate material wealth and power. We desire a larger house, a more expensive car, or a higher salary, believing these things will bring us happiness. However, Stoic philosophy teaches that happiness does not come from owning more, but from knowing what is enough and being satisfied with what we already have. One of the core philosophies of Stoicism is simplicity. The Stoic does not seek material wealth, but finds peace in simplicity. They understand that when we have too much, our endless desires only lead to stress and insecurity. Happiness does not come from owning more, but from being content with what we have and living in the present moment. This does not mean we should not have goals or seek progress, but it is the ability to enjoy and appreciate what we have while striving for growth without being caught up in the material race. Self-control is another important element in achieving happiness according to Stoic philosophy. True happiness does not come from external things, but from the ability to control our emotions and mind. When we realize that external things cannot provide lasting happiness, we no longer cling to them. Instead, we find joy in small things, in the moments of the present. Happiness comes from self-mastery, from controlling the mind and emotions, rather than letting external factors control our lives. Stoics teach that true wealth is not found in material possessions, but in the wealth of the soul. Those who are content with what they have are the richest, for they are not disturbed by external lack. Their happiness is not affected by endless desires, but they find peace of mind and freedom from being governed by material cravings. These individuals understand that happiness comes from harmony with oneself and with their intrinsic values, rather than from external things. Greed and a lack of contentment are one of the main causes of suffering. The feeling of scarcity does not stem from a real shortage, but from not knowing what is enough. When we do not know enough, no matter how much we have, we still feel deprived and dissatisfied. Stoics advise us to reduce our desires rather than constantly longing for things we cannot have. They emphasize that when we are content with less, we feel truly wealthy. Satisfaction does not come from owning more, but from knowing what is enough and appreciating what we have. We should also focus on appearances rather than material possessions. Life is not just a race to own as much as possible. Stoics teach that the true values of life come from experiences like friendship, love, and inner peace. Small moments like a warm conversation, a quiet morning, or a sincere smile are the precious moments of life. When we focus too much on possession, we often forget the spiritual values and the small but profoundly important things in life. One of the profound principles of Stoicism is that true prosperity lies in inner freedom. When you live simply and are content with what you have, you will feel freer than ever. You are no longer bound by endless desires and no longer feel stressed by chasing after things that will never be enough. This freedom is the true prosperity that Stoicism always speaks of. When you are not controlled by material desires, you will find peace and freedom within yourself, and that is true prosperity. In conclusion, true happiness comes from contentment with what we have and the ability to feel enough with our current life. In a world full of material temptations and endless cravings, Stoic philosophy teaches us that wealth does not lie in what we own, but in how we perceive life and our intrinsic values. Live simply, know what is enough, and find happiness in the simple experiences of life. By doing so, you will feel a deep sense of contentment that nothing can take away.